once again, this is the Doctor of Digital podcast. The purpose of the show is to transform your business and life with education and inspiration. I introduce busy business leaders to trends in business, technology, and marketing to highlight people you should know. What does it take to champion diversity in the business world and open doors for underestimated women entrepreneurs? Heather Cox, president of CMC, is at the forefront of this mission, working tirelessly to increase visibility for diverse businesses and connect them with corporations eager to collaborate. Join me as we sit down with Heather Cox, a passionate advocate for women in business and a driving force behind supplier diversity initiatives. With her extensive experience serving on boards such as the Women's Business Enterprise Council West, and her past involvement with organizations like NAWBO, National Association of Women Business Owners, Heather brings invaluable insights into the world of corporate diversity practices and the path to achieving coveted recognition in the Billion Dollar Roundtable. Discover how her work is reshaping the landscape for women entrepreneurs and learn about the exciting opportunities emerging in this evolving business environment. During this episode, we'll do a deep dive into the changes and hot topics of women entrepreneurs and the biggest challenges in growth. I will leverage the expertise of my guest and how to navigate the unique dynamics of the field. By the end of this episode, you'll be better equipped to know what to do, and I encourage you to contact my guest, Heather Cox, president of CMC. With that, welcome to the program, Heather. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
That's great. And, I'm really curious about this really exciting field. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your background, especially a story. How did you get into this field in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So it started about 15 years ago when I was pregnant with baby number one, right? That's how we do all of our timelines. And I was trying to figure out what my life as a working mom was going to look like. I knew that I was going to have to work, but I didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. And I knew that corporate America wasn't always so mommy friendly. So I was asking a lot of women a lot of questions about what it would look like to be a working mom. And I found, and that was everybody from executives to entrepreneurs to part-time, full-time, and everybody I could find. I just would stop them and ask them these questions. And I found the entrepreneurs just fascinating. There was something about their excitement, their passion, I think the way they spoke about it, to me, that was just so exciting and it resonated with me. And so throughout more of our conversations, a few of them said to me, my client wants me to get this certification and I just can't get it done. Now I'm like, hold on. You run a business. What do you mean you can't get it done? I wasn't running a business at the time. I had no idea what that looked like, and the bandwidth constraints and all those different pieces of running a business and a family and everything else. Okay. So I went home and I did a little research, and my husband, who's an attorney, I said to him, hey, what's a certificate of incorporation? And he said, well, in some states, and I said, in some states, that means that if you're not in one of those states, it could be called something different. And now if you're looking for that document and you don't have it, you're very frustrated, right? Because you're like, I don't have that. What do I do? And you have a million other things pulling at you. So I said to these women, I could do that for you. And they're like, okay. Now I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But 15 years later, here we are. And it's changed over the years. It's evolved. We also do minority-owned businesses, LGBT-owned business, veteran-owned business, certifications for people with disabilities who own businesses as well. And so there's a lot more that goes into than just women-owned businesses. But since that I could do it for you, resourcefulness came through. It kind of took off, and we've just kept going since then.
Well, it's been a while now. It's 15 years, so. I'm curious now, what have you seen as the changes and what things have taken place over time?
Well, since we started, there's been quite a few changes. In the very beginning, it was really just women and minority-owned businesses that people knew about. So that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. Then soon after that, there was the veteran certification. Now, most people understand the veteran certification as it pertains to government contracting. But most people don't know that there's also a lot of opportunities for veteran-owned businesses in private sector as well. And that's kind of really taken place in the last 10 years or so. And then there's also the LGBT owned businesses that people, it's also kind of within the last decade or maybe 12 years that it's really taken off. And then the most recent one is people with disabilities, being a disability owned business enterprise and really understanding what that means. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of change in the political landscape, and we're not going to go into that. But I will say we've seen a lot of changes, and people, yes, thinking DEI is great, not great. It's great, it's not great, and all the ups and downs of it. And so that's also been a change over the last 15 years. But when push comes to shove, bottom line in business is it's about the bottom line, and diversity is good for the bottom line.
All right. And so this is to try to bring things up to the present. Are there, and what would you say are the hot topics or hot areas that you would say currently, like right now?
So right now there is a lot of our clients really trying to, previously, I would say a lot of people either did government contracting or they did private sector contracting, and very few did both. Well, now we're seeing a lot of people saying like, wow, we need to make sure we have eggs in both baskets, because a lot of times when one does better, the other one does less well, and vice versa, right? And so people are really understanding that. And so we're seeing a lot of people do more certifications in both realms. So they're doing both the government contracting certifications as well as the private sector. And then just understanding that right now, more than ever, I think the hottest topic that we're seeing right now is that right now, more than ever, it's so important to say, like, if supporting other local, small, diverse owned businesses is part of your values, personally, professionally, business-wise, you need to show that and demonstrate that. And so by getting certified, not only do you help your own business, not only do you set yourself up for better opportunities, but you set up future generations. You support, if you're already a substantial business, then you getting the certification takes away the perceived risk from other businesses who are just getting started.
Right. So I'm curious, what would you recommend business owners or people now? Like, what's your approach? How do you develop this? And, what would you say are groundbreaking for yourself? What recommendations do you make?
So the first thing we do with everybody who calls us, whether they hire us or not, because it's very important to me. Now, we don't love, obviously, if they don't hire us, but we want to make sure they're getting the right certification for them. Because there are, saying I want to be WBE or MBE certified, which is Women's Business Enterprise or Minority Business Enterprise, is like saying I want a soda. Well, do you want Sprite, Coke, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi? Like, what brand do you want? Because the brand you get will determine how you use the certification. So we always want to make sure that you're speaking to an expert who knows what they're talking about and can guide you in the right direction to find the right certification for you based on your goals and how you want to scale your business and who you want to talk to and who you want to sell to. And then once you do get that certification, reach out to people who can teach you and help you understand how to leverage that certification.
So I'm curious then, because you referred to the certification, could you walk us through what is the certification, what's involved, and what do you do when you get the certification? What value does it have?
So the certification, regardless of the demographic, it will say, so let's do women, because you talked about that in the intro, right? So women business enterprises, what you're showing is that your company is 51% or more owned, operated, and controlled by one or more women. And it must be completely independent of any other business, meaning you can't rely, if you're a printer, let's say, you can't use your brother's printing equipment for your business, right? Because then means if he decides he don't want you to use it anymore, you don't have a business anymore. Or let's say you're running a general contracting company. If you don't hold the general contracting license, you're not an independent business because you're relying on somebody else unless that other person is a woman, right? So that is what the certification process proves. Now, it is very invasive. It is very overwhelming. It asks a lot of questions. They want to see your tax returns, your passport. They want to see everything because they are taking responsibility to say, yes, we have vetted this company and we can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are owned, operated, and controlled by one or more women, or it could be LGBT, or it could be veteran, whatever the demographic is, right? And so then what that does is opens the door for opportunities. It is not a magic wand. And I'm very clear that it is not a magic wand. It's not if you certify it, they will come. You have to know how to use it. And my best analogy is always the gym, right? People sign up for the gym and they're like, I didn't get in shape. And so I'm like, well, did you go to the gym or did you just sign up for the gym? And if you did go, did you talk to somebody who knows your goals? Because your goals are not the same as XYZ person you're seeing in the gym. So what they're doing may not be what you need to do. You can't just copy and paste. So you have to know how to leverage it. So, but it does get you in the door. And one of the hardest parts for any entrepreneur, in my opinion, and in my experience over the last 15 years, is getting the opportunity to tell them why you're amazing. Well, you knock on the door, like, hi, I want to talk to you. And they're like, we don't want any. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, how do you know? If you would just give me 5 minutes, you would love me and you would see I'm going to rock your world. So what happens is that getting that certification, what you get with it is called a supplier diversity manager. And they sit inside a lot of these different corporate organizations. There are also some in the government contracting space. And what they do is their role, their job is to find qualified, capable, certified diverse suppliers to bring into their business units internally. So what they do is they want to like, know, and trust you to say, okay, I know that we have an opportunity coming up and, an RFP, a contracting, a bid, something coming up. You would be perfect for it. Let me make an introduction internally for you to have that conversation. Now that is invaluable, right? To get in the door. Now, once you're in the door, you have to sell like any other sale you'll ever do. You have to have, be competitively priced and be just as good, if not better, than anybody else. But you're in the door. And then let's say it's you and someone else, and they're like, wow, both these companies are so good. How are we ever going to choose? How they're going to choose is, wow, this company is also certified. It's an additional vetting system that's happened for them. We're going to go with them, right? But again, it's not a magic wand. But on top of that, you get opportunities to attend executive MBA programs that don't cost you any extra money, to do pitch competitions, to get executive mentors. I did a Toyota mentorship program, and my mentor was the CIO of Toyota North America. Yeah. Now, for someone like me who sells to the Fortune 100, that's an invaluable opportunity to get a C-suite perspective on my messaging, my marketing, what I'm doing, how I need to position myself for it to sound right to the corporate ear.
So I'm curious about the different certifications and the length, the cost. Is there a difference, and how long does it take? I mean, maybe you could walk a little bit through those certifications and differences.
So most of the state certifications, that would be state of Illinois, state of Indiana, most of them do not have an application fee that goes with it. Most states are done within 60 to 90 days. Some super special states like New York take 3 years to process an application. Don't even get me started. That's a whole nother hour time speech I will go on about the ridiculousness of that. But most states will get it done between 45 and 90 days, let's say. Now, the private sector certifications all have a cost associated with it. It's based on, most of them are based on your gross annual sales. Some are based on if you're members of different organizations. There's a lot of different variables there. But that processing time takes about 90 to 120 days to process the application. And so some people will say, well, I'm just going to do a state certification because it's free. Well, yes and no. There's no actual, you're not writing a check or giving a credit card, but you're also not getting some of the other benefits of what the private sector certifications, which is exactly why I say speak to somebody ahead of time to find out the best certification based on your goals and what you want to get out of the certification. If all you want to get is a state of Illinois contract, then absolutely get that certification. But if your goal is to get into Toyota, let's say, that's not the right certification for you. So it's a matter of understanding what you want to do with it, who you sell to, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's really what we do from the very beginning, because it's so important. I don't want someone to come back and say, I got this certification and I got nothing out of it, which people do all the time, which is why we created the Diversity Masterminds program, to teach them how to now use the certification once they have it. Because there is a strategy involved. It's not just throw spaghetti on the wall and hope for the best. You really have to understand how to go through the process, how to leverage your local organizations and your national organizations, how to partner with other companies, how to market correctly, differentiate yourself, which is one of the hardest things I find for business owners, is to explain why they're worth 5 cents more than someone else who says they do what they do. So knowing all those pieces is crucial to the success of your certification.
Is there one that's more advantageous than other, or they're all about the same, or?
It just depends on your goals. Honestly, I couldn't say. Now, I'll say, like, for example, some companies may have, like, some of the Fortune 100 might have goals that would lead you to want to get the disability over the women or the minority over the veteran or whatever it is. So, but again, it's all very specific and there's so many variables. I wouldn't even want to just throw something out there. It's really, again, understanding what your clients want.
So I'm curious, and what sort of actionable tips could you offer? Because it is fairly complicated, and it is.
This could be like a 3-hour conversation and we'd still just scratch the surface.
what should a person do? I mean, they're thinking about it, they've heard you, and what kind of actionable tips could you offer them? Like, so immediate things, what we do today.
So immediate things is I would say, make sure you know who you want to sell to. Make sure you know your, we'll call it the avatar, as people say, right? Who you want to sell to. And then reach out to somebody who is an expert in the industry. Certify My Company is a great option for that. And make sure that, talk to them about what would be the best option for you, right? Now, there is our services are very high touch concierge level services. We are in the process of creating a DIY course for those people who either don't yet value outsourcing or are not in a position to outsource for whatever reason. But understanding what it is, because the biggest reason people are denied certification applications is not because they're not eligible, but it's because their documentation is inaccurate or incomplete. So just make sure that that's all correct as well. Your bylaws are up to date. Your meeting minutes are up to date. The process, one of the best side effects of the process is that it's great housekeeping, because a lot of times we forget. We're like, oh, we'll get to it. And then we never get to it. So that's a great side benefit of the process. But yeah, I would say reach out to somebody who knows what they're talking about, and then determine what your timeline is for getting certified. Because as I said, it does take some time. You're looking at 4 to 6 months all in. And so I tell people all the time, always get certified before you need it, because once you need it, it might be too late.
Right. So a person knows now some of the things that they could do, and they've heard of the changes, the hot topics, and all of the process. How do people get a hold of you? How do they reach out, and what's the best way to get in touch with you and find out more?
So go to certifymycompany.com, and I would encourage you to go now. And then again, just keep going back, because we are in the middle of changing our website up. We're looking for some exciting new things. So it's certifymycompany.com, all spelled out. All of our social media handles are Certify My Co. That's on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us. And we do post opportunities. We post tips and tricks and just different things that are happening in the supplier diversity world. So even if you're not ready today, it's still a great idea to follow all those social media handles, because we do share when events are happening. It could be in your local area, which is a great opportunity for you to start connecting with those people.
Sure. You want to network as much as you can, right?
As much as you can, exactly.
Network. Heather, thank you so much. You've given us a lot of things to think about and mull over with the changes, hot topics, things that we could do. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for taking out some time from your schedule and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us today.
Thank you.
You bet. So thank you so much. And of course, what we want to do is to encourage you to listen, to like, subscribe, positively review, and listen to episode after episode, because we have people that are coming with education and inspiration for you. I also want to thank the supporters of the program, and that is the publishers of both Burning America and On Track Ian Hunter. Both of those available on Amazon, of course. And if you want to know more about what I do, of course, that's what I'd like you to do as well. I am the idea to author coach, guiding your journey from draft to shelf. So if you have an idea and you want to get it published, I'm the person to talk to. I help business leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and like Sly and the Family Stone said, everyday people break through their obscurity through written presentations, building credibility and authority. That is the Idea to Author Coach private Facebook group. Join me there, and you can find out more of what I do. Till the next exciting episode of the Dr. Digital podcast, thanks for joining us today. Deus Volt.